Aloha kakahiaka. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Peter Kay, and you are with us and you are live. So welcome. We're glad to have you here. Let me do a quick overview of what we got planned for you today. E komo mai is the Hawaiian word for welcome. We have a great lineup for you today, and we're also using, if you're on YouTube and you're watching this after it's live, we have chapters so you can kind of click through to the best parts of the show that you'd like. We're going to go through some Hawaii news. We have a market updates. We have a special guest today from Kauai, so that's going to be fun. We're going to take your questions. We got a really good one for today. You don't want to miss that. Then we'll be going over some diamonds and deals, some properties that we think that are worth you looking into, and we're going to close with some motivational thoughts. But the first thing that we do before we start all this, we have to warm up. We have to warm up the internet. We have to warm up the social media spread. We have to warm up who's coming over and get my friends on board over here. So with me today, I've got Dylan Nonaka, who's from the Big Island. We have Ashley Wasan, who is from Oahu. And we have Ronnie Margolio. You know, is it Margolis? Is it Margolis? How do you pronounce it, Ronnie? I apologize.
Margolis, much better than Margolio. That sounds like a Indian dish.
Well, you know, my eyes are going bad, so I can't read like a well contrasting thing at this size, and I need to, make my screen bigger. So I wasn't sure if it's an S or an O. Ronnie Margolis, who is from Kauai. Ronnie, sorry to go off the path here. Margolis, that's not a Greek name, is it? Is that a Greek name?
When I was 11, I thought I was a big shot, and I went hitchhiking outside of Philadelphia to a town called Easton. And the guys, they weren't very nice. I was scared to death. And they asked me if I was Greek. That was the first time. No, my grandparents are from Eastern Europe. And my family, like many Jewish families, came over to Ellis Island. And all sorts of variants came over. Margolin, Margolese, IES, Margolis. So I am not Greek.
Very good.
I do like Greek salads, but I'm not Greek.
There you go. All right. Sounds good. Hey, thanks, Ronnie, for the update. Look, since we're talking to you, what's the weather? Let's start with you on the. This is just a warm up period. We're not talking about anything specific. It's kind of small talk. It's like talk story. What's the weather like on Kauai today?
Well, I'm happy to say it's breezy. We've had a lot of still humid days, and even though I haven't played much golf lately, I have fond memories of hitting the ball into that 30-mile-an-hour wind. And so it's, as we've said before, if you don't like the weather on Kauai, wait 5 minutes. So right now,
that's it.
Sun out, you can see the sun glistening off the Makaleha Mountains here, and it's good weather.
That's a beautiful sight. That is a beautiful sight. Ashley, how are you doing this morning? What's going on with you, and how's the windward side of Oahu doing for today?
It's windy and rainy. Yes, I agree with Ron. It's kind of nice to have a little bit of a breeze going on. So get to sleep without the AC on. I love rainy, wintry feelings here in Hawaii because you're still wearing, spaghetti drop dresses, and you're still wearing your slippers and going to the beach, but you have a little reprieve. So I like it. It feels like the holidays are coming.
I'm especially grateful for the rains that we've had over the past week or so. Our sprinkler system was broken, and we haven't repaired it yet. So my grass was getting quite brown. So my grass is back on its way to greenery. So we appreciate that. And speaking of things that we appreciate Dylan. Dylan, what's going on, buddy? How is the Big Island, and how are you doing today? What's the shirt, Dylan? So Ronnie, we have to come up with something for you, Ronnie, because like each person has like a special thing, right? It's like Dylan's got the shirt. Heidi has the coffee. Actually, we don't really have yours. We have to figure out what your Ashley's is like. The weather on the windward side, I think. And we need something for you. You have to come up with a thing for you, Ronnie. So
I'm just like a hippie investor type.
There you go. That's it.
Earrings, but I don't wear them that
Love
often.
that.
Well, if you're a hippie,
she's way too old to be a hippie.
Yeah, well,
not here. Not here.
Tell me what happened in the 60s, Ash.
Yeah, well,
I can't remember.
She's a Gen X hippie, or maybe a millennial hippie, but then in that case, Ashley, you have to bring like a flower or something to prove your hippiness. At least bring a flower or something.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan. All right, let's move on to Dylan. Dylan, what's your shirt? What's the shirt? How's the Big On? How are you today?
But it's funny. It's a good example of you can't believe everything you see on the internet, because I think the last thing most people would characterize me as is a fashionista. But you know, the Aloha shirt is definitely my thing. So the only day I dress up is for once every other week on the Aloha Friday show. Every other day, it's the same golf polo that I wear every single day. So this is a living in Hawaii. This is our preferred Aloha attire provider. I've worn actually they made a custom shirt for our team with our logo incorporated on it. Same designer, very good friends of ours, family friends of ours. But this is Puakinikini, which is my wife's favorite tree or favorite flower. If you've never smelt the fragrance of Puakinikini, you're missing out in life. It's amazing. You can bring a couple of flowers into your house and put them on the countertop, and like the whole house smells amazing. So we have I think we have 4 trees. I did some major pruning this weekend because one of them was like humongous and hanging over our driveway and stuff. So, but yeah, Puakinikini is highly touted flower. It's like the best lei. It doesn't last very long. I think we've talked about this in the past. Like my wife is like a aficionado on how to create the lei and then keep it fresh before you give it, because the flowers get brown pretty quick. So you have to like put them in a bag and then float them in water, and it's like this whole thing. So anyways, that's the shirt for today.
They're my fave. They are, if you want to wow someone with fragrance, yeah, that's really the deal. And I get them in water too. Sometimes they're still making them. Hey, listen, here's my thing. I don't know if you can see it. My Rotary logo. Well, I got to stand up or something.
You got to stand up. There you go. All right. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
There you go.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my big thing. And, you know, I'm super excited because we're having our own Shark Tank here on Kauai this weekend. We call it Catch a Wave. And so it's something that I helped produce. We had 38 businesses apply. We chose 20 semifinalists. We got 8 finalists that are going to present to 5 sharks. The winner gets around $50,000 in prizes, partially funded by the SBA and the Chamber of Commerce. And it's really inspiring to see young entrepreneurs and also what they're giving back to the island. Because one of the questions was, how does your product or service, you know, meet a need here on the island? So it's fun.
Very cool. Well, we'll have to offer a sponsorship opportunity to your organization so we can promote you some more on this channel. But sponsorships notwithstanding, hey, you know, actually, speaking of shirts, Dylan, we're coming up for a big event that you're having in a few weeks, and I'm going to take this thing to publicly request that I'd like to buy a shirt. I don't want to be given a shirt. I want to buy a shirt when I'm up there. If I'm going to be part of the agency team here in a sort of a direct or indirect way, I want to start to wear the right shirt as opposed to the living in Hawaii color.
You got it. They were exclusive for like the first few months, but now they've become public. So you can go on livinginhawaii.com and you can order the shirts there.
Oh,
so they're available.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, then in that case, that's going to make it easy. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to John Russell. John Russell, yay! John Russell was here. Actually, he put his comment way in advance of the show, which is cool. And thanks, John, because I wanted to use that to remind everybody. Hey, give us a shout out if you're here. Say hello. We want to know where you're from. And what you're doing, and we're going to move on. I got some news over here that I want to cover, and thankfully Ronnie is here today. I was assuming, Ronnie, that you're going to be here, so I have a story for you as well that I want to that I've got for you to kind of comment on later on. All right, so okay, great. Well, so hey, you know, we survived the election. I believe we survived the election. We survived the election day, except in Hawaii, it was really kind of funny. There were these ads continual ads on YouTube from the Hawaii State of Elections telling us how horrible it was going to be to stand in line and how much they wanted us to send in our ballots via the mail. And they were right. People had to wait in line for hours and hours in the rain and in the darkness. It was a horrific situation where the lines were gigantic because there was only 2 places on Oahu where people could cast their vote in person if they wanted to. So hopefully they're going to be making some change. It was quite a challenge for our voters, unfortunately. Flood zones. You may be in a flood zone. What is going on? Apparently, the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, has changed the flood maps in Honolulu. I don't know if it's statewide or not. I would like to hear from you folks if it's statewide. For certainly, it's on Oahu. A lot of folks that weren't in flood zones are now in a flood zone with increased insurance rates, as if we didn't have enough insurance rate increases so far. Maui County is topping vacation rental supply. It looks like they've got the most amount of open vacation rentals, 263,000 available unit nights compared with 30,000 on Oahu, which is kind of amazing because far more tourists go to Oahu than Maui every year. I thought that was kind of interesting. And here's my Kauai stories just for you, Ronnie. CoCo Palms, looks like CoCo Palms might be rebuilding. There was CoCo Palms, folks, if you don't know, that was the famous hotel that was in the Elvis movie Blue Hawaii. And I think it's been shuttered since then, practically. I think it's been Hurricane Iniki, I think, knocked it out in 1992, if I'm not mistaken, and it hasn't been rebuilt since. It's been in one court battle after another. The last move, there was a developer who was trying to build it, and they tried to stop it. And apparently the judge said, no, you're not going to stop the construction. So we'll see. That'll be interesting. I just heard a ping from somebody in my left ear there. Home sales spike on Kauai. Sales of single family. I'll be interested if the market's different for Oahu and for the Big Island, but Kauai apparently had sales of single family homes leap 53% in September. 26 homes versus September in the previous year. So that was kind of interesting. So a lot of fun stuff to talk about. We don't need to talk about this. We could talk about what you want to talk about. So why don't we do this? Let's go clockwise here. Dylan, then Ashley, and then Ronnie. Give us well, we're going to do we're kind of in a hybrid market update. So talk about the market. And if there's any news that you want them to bring up, the things that you think are notable for your island. So Dylan, why don't you get us started with that?
Well, the most notable, I think, probably election story on the island is our mayor did not win re-election, which rarely ever happens in Hawaii. If you are an incumbent, you almost always win. And so we are going to have a new mayor come January. So that actually, I think end of December is when they switch over on the mayor's side. So that was an interesting update. I don't think the current mayor did anything wrong or, was unpopular or anything like that. He was a well-known figure, a prosecutor for a very long time, elected prosecutor before he became mayor. But for whatever reason, people voted for change. It was very interesting because I didn't see a lot of activity, in that race. It wasn't one where it was really contentious. So you saw a lot of advertising.
So what do you think was behind that? So what do you think was behind that? That's kind of odd.
If I had to speculate,
that is odd for Hawaii.
I think, looking back, maybe he was just too calm and normal. And there wasn't anything, he's an attorney, right? He was a prosecutor before. And I think he just kind of did his job, and he wasn't a great marketer, and maybe didn't do a good enough job, talking about the things that he did and his accomplishments, just wasn't out there enough maybe. And people just kind of took it for granted that he wasn't doing much and then voted for the other guy. So, yeah, interesting. I did feel like the challengers campaign had a little bit more energy. You saw people out there. There was more signs around. I mean, from a very superficial level, there was definitely a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, that's a rarely do incumbents do. Rare. So that's a big story. And then on the Big Island, interesting. We talked about, I think in the last show that we had the lowest number of sales in September that we've seen for years. I mean, as far as back as the data goes, and there was 292 sales in the month of September, and then in October there was 380. So I mean, almost 100 more sales month over month. I mean, humongous increase month over month. So for whatever reason, September was an outlier that really just a really slow month, and then it seems like that wasn't a trend, and we're back, and I'm definitely feeling like already, the activity is picking up, because there was a lot of people that were just kind of sitting on their hands, waiting till the election was over, seeing what was going to happen. And so going forward, I'm expecting the market to pick up, and it's looking like rates should come down given the 10-year treasury. The mortgage rates haven't matched it yet, but overall, it feels like the biggest blessing of the election, regardless of who you voted for and who you wanted to win, is that it's over. I was concerned that it would be a week or two or a month of lawsuits and recounts and all the crazy stuff that we've seen in the last few years. And the fact that it was just over and definitive and done, and we can move on, I think is good for everybody, good for the economy. And
100% agreed. That was that too. I'm right with you. That was my biggest fear. whoever won, I want to be a decisive giant victory over in one night. And thank God that was the case. Thank God. Yeah, indeed. Cool. Is that your update for? Are you done, Dylan, or is
That's
there
pretty
anything else
much it.
that
We
you
won't
want?
get into too many details. That's it. I think the market's
Okay.
back.
All right, market's back. I'm curious, Dylan. There was in the previous weeks, you weren't here, but I was talking to Misty had mentioned this, and I think, Misty mentioned it. I don't know if anyone else, but everyone else had kind of chimed in that there was a sense of people were waiting until the election was over. There was some sense of that. Now, and look, it's only been over for 2 days, but that'll be interesting to kind of see if there's going to be any changes. Do you have any sense? It's too early to tell, I'm sure. But again, you're up in October, huge. So I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I think by the end of this month,
We'll
we'll see. And then, of course, the Hawaii market, I mean, this is going to be true for all of us, is not like the mainland market where November and December are actually busy months for us, right? People start visiting, people are here on vacation. So it's not like in most of the country, in November, December, January roll around, the market completely shuts down. It's very, very low. We have, record numbers of closings in January and February from the winter months when the snowbirds are here and people are, there's no snow, right? So you can still shop, you can still go to open houses. So,
well, wait. I beg to differ, Dylan. I beg to differ because Jesse Grace, who is from Aloha from Chile, Waimea, Hawaii Island. So this is God's way of interacting with the show, right? Aloha from Chile, Waimea, Hawaii Island. Yes, we have snow on Mauna Kea. So, Dylan, you are mostly correct. There's no snow
mostly
usually
correct.
anywhere.
I stand corrected.
Mostly
Yes.
correct. Stand
We're
corrected.
sending
The timing of that.
we're
Right?
sending Jessie up to Spokane for the weekend. We're going to send her up to Spokane in January, I think. Good place.
There you go.
You can tell me what
There
to
you
believe.
go. Excellent. That was just so that the timing could not, Jesse, bless you. The timing could not have been better. Could not have been better. We have Facebook user. Hey, hello, Facebook user. Welcome to the show, Facebook user. I'm surprised that Facebook allowed you to get away with that. God bless. And Jim Stevenson, our uncle here, one of the founding uncles of the show. I think Jim has been with us since the very beginning, the earliest days of the Aloha Friday Hawaii show. Thanks, Jim. Good to see you. Hope all is well. I'm glad that you are with us. And yeah, you got it, Jesse. You got it, girl. Anytime. Well, I don't know if it's girl or guy, but hey, whatever they. Thank you, they. You are awesome. All right, Ashley, give us the Oahu update.
So the fourth quarter has started off looking great for us on Oahu. In October, the sales had grown for single-family homes compared to October in 2023, 22.5%. And we even saw a modest increase in the condo sale market. So on the show, you've been hearing a lot about the condo market suffering. Well, in October, it went up a whopping 1.5%. All kidding aside, though, that's a really good sign for our condo market. The median sales price has not changed, so it's still at 1.1 million, and the condo market did go up slightly at 525,000. The days on market, so how long a property stays on market until it's under contract for both single family and condos, is still under 30 days, which is, in retrospect, a very aggressive market still. There is increased inventory across the board. So we're seeing single family homes inventory increase 18.4% in October, and the condo market increase 49.8% since October 2023. And that just means as a buyer, you have more options. The sales in October, we are higher in sales last month. So the sales and the amount of contracts have increased. So the amount of people who went into contract and the amount of units that have sold. But the amount of inventory has also increased. So that just means that market's moving. Buyers have options and sellers are still in a good position. What is interesting, though, is that compared to October last year, single-family homes increased in most price points, but the largest increases in gains occurred in Ewa Beach and Pearl City. So Ewa Beach increased a little over 42%, and Pearl City increased a little over 76%. This is for single-family homes. The condo sector, so price points between 400 and 700,000. That's where we saw the largest increase in condo sales. That went up about 14%. But the sales that had the least amount in condos was under 400,000 and under 700,000. But fascinating, right? You'd think that units that are below 400,000 would fly off the market. But for reasons, a lot of those are older buildings, so the maintenance fees are higher, which is not part of our market statistics. And the areas that had the increase of single-family home inventory were mostly the central part of the island, Diamond Head, Kailua, Kaneohe, the leeward side, which is the far west side of the island, and North Shore. Condos, we saw the most increase in inventory in Diamond Head, Hawaii Kai, and North Shore.
Well,
as far
there
as
you go.
politics, I don't talk politics. I don't know enough
We
about
don't
it.
know.
We'll
We
leave
never.
that to
We never.
Dylan.
Yeah, we never talk politics. We never talk politics. All that we say is, the biggest reach we made into politics was to tell people to make sure they vote for the president that I want to vote for. That's the only thing.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Just vote for the one that I want to vote for. Because if you don't, then the world's going to come to an end, and we will. So anyway, okay.
Did you guys? Are you going to talk about the people who ended their life supposedly? I don't know if that's a rumor or not. I feel like it would have gotten more media attention if that was the case.
I don't even want to bring that up. That's such a sad thing. Even if it's true or false, it's such a horrible, even a thought. It's a horrible thought. I don't even want to bring that up.
And the fact that they brought so much attention to waiting in line so long this year for elections. I remember last election, I waited in line about 4 hours as well, and no one put any media attention around that.
I think what's ridiculous is they close the schools down, and then we don't even use the schools to vote. So why don't the kids just go to school? Why do we have you needed the schools to vote.
Why did they do that?
That is I did not. I no longer have kids that go to school, so I don't know about that. And that world is no longer in my sphere. But
well, let you into it, Peter, real fast. They had fall break at the beginning of the month, and then they had a second fall break because of election day. So they had Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday off. That was not the fall break either. And then they also have this following Monday for Veterans Day off. So we call this No School November.
Man, this is one of the nice benefits of being a public school teacher, because that is a nice series of days.
Well, I think they still have to go to work. It just the kids.
Yeah, I don't know. Dylan would know about that, or I don't know if Monica, because Monica's been out of the loop for a while, Dylan. But I don't know if they have those days off or not.
It's no, it's not that. It's not as often. It's one per quarter. They'd have a teacher work day where the kids aren't there. But most of the time, if kids aren't there, the teachers aren't there either. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so we're not talking about politics. So I'm talking about the advertising. I thought it would what actually I got a big kick out of was those YouTube. These were the Hawaii election, whatever, or agency, whatever, Hawaii Office of Elections. They were putting out. I was getting a lot of these ads on YouTube, which were basically saying it's going to be horrible if you wait in line. I mean, it was just like that. They were like, it was like, it's going to be horrible if you wait in line. So make sure you mail in your ballots. Like, wow, that was just such a weird thing to kind of see from the state telling us that it's going to suck. And it did. At least they were honest. At least we knew what to expect. All right. Speaking of knowing what to expect, Ronnie, it's your turn. Give us the update for Kauai. Tell us about the CoCo Palms. Tell us about the market, or whatever else you want to talk about, Ronnie.
I heard so much from these guys. I don't actually have anything to say. No, I think
that's impossible. That is impossible.
Okay. Yeah, I was on a Zoom with one of my team members and Dylan in Spokane yesterday, and I made some comment about being more succinct, and she said, "You verbose," and I thought, okay, that's really good feedback. So one of the things I'm grateful for with the election ending is I'm going to get fewer texts. At least I'm hoping I'm going to get fewer texts. It's backing off slightly, but I was pretty excited. There's a local girl named Fern Nui, and I always get excited when I see more open-minded younger people get on our county council, which is, I think, 9 members, 9 people make the cut. CoCo Palms. Well, I never got to go to the CoCo Palms because I didn't come to Hawaii till the mid-2000s. I have friends that used to stay there frequently because it was a very famous place and probably the nicest hotel on the island. Back in 2007, so there you go, 1992, right? Aniki was September 11th, a notable day in America. 1992, when that hurricane got stalled over this island and just pummeled it. So from then to 2006, took 14 years, and now they're going to sell the land, and a developer comes in. In 2007, at the local, I guess it would be shopping center, there was a sample unit. You know, sometimes when developers build, they put up a unit, you see the materials, what's going to be on the counters, what kind of afromosia they're using in the kitchen cabinets. And they took deposits, and that lasted for maybe a year. And then the economy crashed and we had a recession, and that disappeared. Then it got sold to some developers, and I never had a good feeling about it. But the county partnered with them, and I thought, man, this county must be desperate. So they dragged on for, I think, 6 years. And then, you know, they come up to these crucial points. Is the planning gonna continue and extend the permits? And the story in the paper was they couldn't get their $100 million loan from the Chinese lender because the loan officer was sick in the hospital. And I thought, are you kidding me? You can't really like print that and be serious. Anyway, it got foreclosed on. Developers built it out, bought it out of foreclosure. And yeah, they went through several rounds with the county. You know, the community doesn't want it. You know, the traffic in that particular spot is some of the worst on the island. And the beach that's across the street is eroding into almost nothing, certainly compared to the 50s. But yeah, it's going to be built, and we've seen demolition. You know, I think almost all the buildings except for one that they're probably going to keep and restore is now up, and the construction fencing is up. And it'll be another luxury resort on Kauai. And
Wow.
that's what's happening regarding
Wow.
that. In terms of our market,
it's quite the odyssey there. Thank you. I for a guy who's brief and didn't know what to say, you did a really good job of giving us all that update. That was great. That was great.
All right. Well, my market update will be briefer than Ashley's. That I can assure you. You know, the one other thing I was thinking about the election is that the results.
Wait. How about the market update? How about the market update first? Let's get to the market update. Stay on track, Ronnie. Stay on track.
Okay. Unlike these other places, this tiny island, October was the second lowest sales month of the year. So just around $80 million in sales island-wide. Of course, we are the smallest market. We had a whopping 52 units sell, 28 homes and 24 condos. And so if we track back, and you know, Peter, I want to just refer to your slide, because I think at this juncture, we have watched the market accelerate and interest rates go through periods of getting a little bit better than 7 or even pushing close to 8%. So yeah, this year is going to be a big gain from last year, but we've seen that for months and months and months now. So, you know, someone to write about sales are up 54% on Kauai or whatever from September of last year. Well, yeah, last year sucked bad, you know, and this year sucks a little bit less as we move to a more normal market. I do love the people that say I'm going to wait till after the election. And I love that one of my team members called me, Wednesday morning to say, yeah, they wanted to wait till after the election. I'm activating their listing today. I'm like, okay, but we're not ready yet, but we want it on the market. You know, they weren't kidding.
That's funny.
So, you know, relative to even 6 months ago, I think our inventory is up 30%. The highest amount of inventory right now. So it scooches up a little bit at a time. And
I think your headline actually would have been much more fun. Sales for Kauai in October sucked less. I think that would have been much more fun.
Yeah, well, when you put up that slide, I'm like, I want to see the guy that wrote that article, you know, because the people in the, you know, let's face it, you know, if you wanted to learn YouTube, right? Would you go to like an elementary school teacher that had been on there 5 times or something? You know, no. You know, if you wanted to learn about real estate, you talk to a seasoned professional that understands how to serve people, what people need, what's really going on in the market. You know, what are the backstories behind the properties they want to buy or sell? And the several times I've been interviewed by the Garden Island, our newspaper, Even what I tell them doesn't quite make it into the article. So, so much for the press. But I will say, and I know you didn't want me to digress to that area, but I expect.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Go for it.
No, I just expect to see more people coming to the islands. COVID was a driver. Hawaii was safe. They were very strict. And once teleworking got normalized, if I'm working for Google or YouTube in Southern California and I'm raising 2 kids and I can now telework, where do I want to raise them? In LA or, on a mountaintop in Kauai where my kids can play out in nature. So you guys might feel the same, and ladies. I feel isolated, from what happens in the mainland and some of the concerns and fears. I feel like we're in a bubble. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to be in that bubble. And that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Look, it's going to be interesting. You brought up the telework issue. That's going to be really quite interesting on that, because I know that there were I know that a lot of real estate was sold to people that were teleworking, and I know that a lot of people have moved here because of exactly what you said. However, the trend now is to reverse all of that teleworking. So there's if a company was not teleworking prior to the pandemic and they went into telework, most of those companies are moving things back. Most of those companies are realizing that, some could not make the switch. There's exceptions. If you were teleworking prior to the pandemic, you're fine. But if you were not teleworking prior to the pandemic, there's a big move to bring those people back. Not 100%. So that'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays around. All right, let's move on here. I want to say hi to Jim. Jim again. Thanks, Jim. Jim said he's got beautiful November weather here in New York City. Voting took me just 5 minutes. Jim, I don't want to hear it. I don't want it. Actually, it took me less than 5 minutes because we mailed in our ballot. I didn't want to. I was convinced by those awful ads that it was going to suck to wait in line. However, Jim, Hawaii needs to be able to vote in 5 minutes. I completely agree. But anyway, we'll leave that for what it is. Go ahead,
other ironic piece about the voting system was that we went to majority mail-in ballots, right? Everybody automatically gets mailed a ballot. So a lot of us mailed it back in, but it took till past midnight to get any results. And back in the old days, when they had to collect all the ballots at a polling place and drive them to the Capitol and count them, we would get results by 9 p.m. at night. And so for whatever reason, we didn't even get the final printout till I think it was 3 o'clock the next day. So clearly there's some efficiency issues in that whole system, where it's
I think one of it's not. I did not follow it closely, but speaking out of some sense of what I caught one blurb of, isn't there something to Dylan that they can't even do the first reading until all the polls close, and because they had a whole bunch of people in line for 4 hours, that the polls didn't close until some ungodly hour or something of that nature. So that was it was a mess. It was a big big mess, unfortunately, and that needs to. But you know what? It doesn't matter, Dylan, because no one votes in Hawaii anyway. It doesn't really matter. No one votes, so it's whatever. Who cares? We don't care, right? The old bumper sticker, that was very popular some time ago. I no care, and that was the bumper sticker. All right. Let's move on because we care. Next slide, please. Next slide. Let's move on. I'm going to do a quick station break over here, everybody. So look, if you got here, how did you get here? Did you get here through the newsletter? Did you get the invite? Well, not an invite, but there's a newsletter that goes out every Wednesday. And on that newsletter is a link to the show. If you got there through the newsletter, you are good. If you did not get here through the newsletter, if you found us some other way, welcome. We'd love to have you here. Get on the newsletter so you'll get automatically invited to future shows and content that we release. We have other YouTube videos that we release. We have photos. We have great articles that you don't want to miss. Livinginhawaii.com. Only if you want to live in Hawaii. If you want to live in Hawaii, livinginhawaii.com. That's where you need to go. All right. And by the way, I want to say hi to all of our friends out there. If you have just joined us, please make sure you let us know. pop something in the comments. We want to hear that you're here. And we found out who the Facebook user was. The Facebook user is Judy Weber. Welcome, Judy. Looks like the Facebook user is me. Judy, I'll bet you're coming in through a Facebook group. There's something about if you come in through Facebook groups, it does this by design, if I'm not mistaken. I remember this from a long time ago. But Judy, we're glad that you're here, a pillar of the Islander, a pillar and an alumni of the Islander Ohana, which, by the way, we're going through the middle of our cohort, which is a lot of fun. All right. So a quick discussion over here. What we'll see. We got some time here. So a discussion point I put together. I'm going to try to put together big questions each week, each show that we can talk about. So the big question for this one is, this is for the folks that are considering making a move to Hawaii. So there's a lot of folks. I mean, this is what the show is really all about, is to help people move to Hawaii in the best possible way. And, I know that, Ronnie, you've been here for 20 years. I've been here for 40 years. Ashley, you've been here since you were 2. So this might be hard. Dylan was born here. It may be hard for us to answer this question because of memories, but here's what I'd like to, what can we help people with? What the question is, what do you wish you knew before you moved? That's what people, are asking. That's what they want to know. Like, what do you need to know? What do I wish I knew before I moved to Hawaii? What should I pack? What should I bring? What should I not bring? What's something that I didn't think about at all? What's something that I should have thought about that I didn't think about? I never thought about. I didn't really, all kinds of issues. What do you wish you knew? Whether it's about the mechanics of moving, like stuff, or it's about the wish you knew about Hawaii before you got here, because once you got here you didn't realize it. Whatever that could be, whatever comes to your mind, what do you wish you knew before moving? Let's start with Ashley, and then we'll go to Dylan, and then we'll bring it up with our grand slam hitter Ronnie at the end. So Ashley, knowing everything that you've known and the people that you've talked to and everyone who's come here and all the people that you know, what's your best wisdom of what do you wish? What do you think that people would wish they knew before they moved here?
I was so young when I moved here mentally. It's such a different time now. And there's a lot of things I wish I had known. I will try to sum it up just with one, even though there's like 10. Probably the culture. I wish I had been more aware and just did more research before. This is not planned question, because I know this is the purpose of the show and the Islander Ohana group. And I guess I'm having this aha moment right now. That is very, very valuable, because I did not know what I didn't know before coming. And I think that I could have integrated myself faster and easier.
What was the biggest culture? Okay, so you talk about culture. Great. What was the biggest, just the top of mind, what was the biggest cultural shock that you got hit with when you moved here?
I don't mean this in any negative fashion. I moved to Kalihi, then Hau'ula, and then a very particular area in Haleiwa, and then Wahiawa. So if you know,
blonde haole girl going to Kalihi. All right.
15 years ago, before there was a lot of remote working. So, and those are my home, and to this day, that's still where I feel most at home. So I had things stolen. I had been very bubbly and very mainland, and I didn't try to just be quiet or on the wall and just be more observant. I think I should have just been more observant and more understanding. I did hikes that I shouldn't have done. I had something stolen. I would door knock into people's carports and garages that I could have disappeared and nobody would have known any different or where from in certain areas. And I'd be like rescuing people's dogs from their yards, being like, that's not the right way to treat a dog. And I would be like taking their chain, animal from the yard, or their roosters and such. And
oh, man.
Now, being here over a decade and realizing I should not be this white girl in Hau'ula, taking people's like pets and scolding them on how to treat animals and going on hikes and stuff that I shouldn't have done. But again, I was very young and very naive. I also got into real estate that year as well. And I didn't know if escrow was a fish for all I knew. And I was just like door knocking in Hau'ula. down empty streets and abandoned houses and just doing a lot of pretty crazy things. So I think I had that bliss that Hawaii is very safe and it's euphoric and it's all rainbows and wonderful. And it is in a lot of ways. You just have to be smart. But my experience is very unique, I feel.
I got it. Dylan, I need to do a show just with Ashley. I got to hear. I just can't. I'm just so imagining,
10 things not to do.
Oh my God.
10 things not to do.
Young blonde howler girl going in and rescuing roosters. That's got to be the most dangerous. There is nothing more dangerous than that. That has got to be the most dangerous possible thing you could ever do in Hawaii. That's so damn dangerous. I haven't even thought about that. It's like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. Rescuing
someone
roosters.
Had stole my purse. I was really busy and someone had stole my purse from a place I was eating at. And for good reason, I walked away from it. And it wasn't like they just stole it while it was on my body. Like I walked away from it. I was so busy learning real estate back then. And I was 20 and stupid. And I decided like I had my checkbook in there and my birth certificate and my passport because I like lived out of my purse when I first moved here and I needed it. I could not get another ID without it. And I ended up door knocking all of these streets in very questionable areas being like, hey, I have a feeling someone in this area, some kids stole my purse and these big, families would come out and they'd be watching TV in their carport and like clothes. Like I'd have to like navigate through their clothes drying and there'd be a TV in the carport and like a barking dog on a chain. And I was like, I really need my purse. And I found it. I got my purse back. That's a story for another time. But
oh my God, this has got to be another show. I got to do the Ashley. I got to do the Ashley newbie. I got to do it. I'm sorry. Well, not now, but oh my God, Ashley, God bless. That is like the best. I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
So don't do what Ashley did. That's how you get integrated Hawaii. Join the island.
Oh God. Dylan, Dylan, you don't have an experience because you didn't move here. You were born here, but you've helped countless people move here. So what's your wisdom on things that people see? Look, Ashley, it's not just me. Judy says you're hilarious, and she's absolutely right. It was hilarious. That's the funniest damn thing. So Dylan, what's your wisdom as far as what people should know? That's maybe a better, more open question. What people should know, the most important thing that people should know before they move here.
I think the perspective I can bring to this is I've also helped countless people move away, right? That have come here and then decided that they didn't want to stay. And so really summarizing that and thinking about, why do people leave? Because I mean, that's a very common question when somebody's listing their home. Is like, hey, why are you leaving? And there's a very common misconception that everybody who sells their house and leaves is a local, and that's not the case. We've talked about this before. A lot of times there's a cycle, a 10-year cycle where someone moves here in their 50s or their 60s, they stay for 10 years and then they move back to the mainland. So we're selling a house and then replacing that person with somebody else who's moving here that's 10 years younger. But a lot of times I think the misconception, especially people leave quicker, not necessarily 10 years, but if they leave like, the first couple of years, is that there's this idea that if I move to Hawaii, I'm going to be on a Hawaii vacation 24/7. And they love Hawaii because they come here on vacation and they come here for a week or 2 weeks and they're on vacation, right? You don't work, you just go to the beach. You don't have to think about the things that you have to do in normal life every single day, like get a job, like go shopping, have access to healthcare, the things that are usually important to somebody's lifestyle and where they live. And so I think that's a big one, is really doing the research and really figuring out, is this some place that you can live permanently versus being on a permanent vacation? Because I think a common expectation is that I'm just going to go on vacation forever and it's going to be great. And they don't really think about, I've helped many people move away who don't like the tax situation. They come here and they may still have some business interests somewhere else, or they want to start a business here and they realize they came from a no income tax state. And they're like, man, I took a humongous pay cut and this is crazy from a financial standpoint, and they leave based upon that because they don't want to be a tax resident here. So there's things like that I think a lot of people don't necessarily evaluate deeply before you make the decision to move, and then it ends up biting you once you get here. So think about the big picture, what it's going to take to actually live here.
Excellent. Thank you, Dylan. That's really quite helpful. There are a million things that one takes for granted of where you live, and there's so many things that you have no idea really until you move somewhere else, and those things are no longer a factor. Hey, and I should have mentioned this, but I want to give a big mahalo to empty nesters who's giving us their tip. And look, by the way, folks, if you're with us and if you've got a tip, Judy, you're a font of infinite knowledge. Anybody else, if you've got something that you want to share, that if you recently moved to Hawaii and there's something that you wish you knew before you moved, please pop it in the comments. So Empty Nester says, for men from the mainland going on interviews in Hawaii, for most employers, do not wear a tie. Yeah, the old job interview suit is not going to work. The job interview suit is not going to work. That's a great, simple, very simple and practical tip. All right, Ronnie, you've still got some fresh memories of being here, of moving to Kauai 20 years ago. What do you wish? What is it that you wish you knew before you made the move?
Peter, you can remember 20 years ago?
No, not a damn thing.
That was a funny question.
Yeah.
One thought came into my mind about the tie. The only people that I've seen wearing ties on this island are attorneys. And a couple of times after going to court back in the foreclosure days where I was at the courthouse a lot, I would go to Costco in my tie, and I can't tell you how many people said, "Are you an attorney?" But, when you ask this question, what do I wish I knew before moving? Only one thing came up. I wish I knew I didn't need to bring a damn thing with me. Because my friends, who were kind of our inspiration to move here, said, you don't need to bring anything. And my interpretation of that was 11,000 pounds in a Matson container. Particularly one of them was bad timing because as a lifelong musician, I had so much gear and furniture, like a 500-pound piece of teak furniture. By the time I got here, everything had moved to software instruments. I didn't even need it. But seriously, I have a wife who will tell our owners, I can furnish your entire condo for about $4,000. So we have lots of stores that sell recycled furniture from Four Seasons, the Ritz, the Marriott. I mean, okay, if you're, if you got to go to CSWO in Oahu and get designer furniture, that's fine. But you don't need much when you come here. It's all here. If you have a good car, you're going to ship it. If you're driving a Tesla, you're going to ship it, right? But other than, things that you can't replace, I mean, remember, I came here 20 years ago. Do you remember how much the big screen TVs weighed 20 years ago? And how much they cost. Even if I had an 80-inch screen, it's probably as much to ship as, So that would be the one thing.
20 years ago, I bought a 55. I spent big money. I bought a 55-inch plasma TV. 20 years ago was like $4,000. So that's I remember that well because it was quite painful. Judy kicked in. Thank you, Judy. Expect your HOA fees, that's our homeowner association fees, to increase and increase and increase.
She must live in a condo.
Yeah. Man, oh man, yeah, those HOA that there's only one way to go, but up that. But Ronnie, that is I wholeheartedly agree. Remember we had a group on the island of Ohana, and we teach this in the island of Ohana. I tell people, don't bring anything because you're not going to need anything. You can fit it all in some. Well, these days people put it in totes and in luggage, and that's it. 3 or 4 totes worth of stuff. And it's kind of funny because I remember there was one couple that made the move to Maui, and they did a superb job. And they said, we listened to what you said. We got rid of, everything that we could. And once we brought over the few things we brought over, we realized we didn't even need those. We still brought too much. We got rid of everything and we still brought over too much. So that is words of wisdom. Thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate that.
When we moved into our home, we bought it and it had a pune in it. It's like it's sort of I think it was like a Portuguese kind of couch or something. It was actually the one thing I wanted because the guy had a big screen TV with a big subwoofer, below your butt, and I thought it was cool. Anyway, my wife wanted it out of the house. We got here, we moved into our house, we brought some sheets and we kept the cushions from the pune. And that's what we slept on the first couple of nights in the house. Those were my 2 best days in the house. When that Royal Hawaiian Movers truck showed up, it was about a third unloaded. And I looked at my wife and I said, what the hell were we thinking? And especially having a wife that's always been frugal and prudent, and you don't want to throw anything away because you'll have to buy it again. 20 years later, a lot of that stuff is still in my garage. It's embarrassing.
There you go.
So you don't need it. You don't need it.
You don't need it
here. And, you know, you spend a lot of time living outside on your lanai, and just think about it, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, well, we're gonna move on. I'm gonna throw in my 2 cents here. I had on the stuff that you don't need story. One of the thing of course it was minimal. It was like 4 boxes. It was still way too much. But one thing in particular which really sticks out was I had this. I had a motorcycle on the mainland which I did not bring over, but I had this beautiful Harley Davidson black modern leather jacket, and it was gorgeous, and I loved it. And so of course I brought that with me. And in the 40 years, I don't have it any longer, but in the 40 years that I've been here, I never put it on once, because there was no reason to wear a leather jacket in Hawaii whatsoever, ever. Could not do it. All right. We need to move on. It's time to let's talk about it's Diamonds and Deals times. Let's talk about the properties that our friends here have put together for us that they'd like to feature and they want to talk about. So let's go with this first one. We're going to go to, let's see, I think we're going to go here. Is this right, Ashley? Is this yours? Ashley, is that correct? You could speak.
This one's mine.
Okay, let's hear it, Ashley. What are we looking at here?
Sorry, my cleaners just got here. So the dogs are barking and I will try to be fast.
I can move on if you want. If you want to get a quick break for Dylan to do his, then I'll come back. It's up to you.
They stopped.
Go for it.
5-bedroom, I'm sorry. This is the wrong unit. Sorry. This is in Bluestone in Lanikai. So on Oahu, on the east side, you have this little pocket. It's highly desired, very nice, high price point location, lots of luxury homes. You have some of the most stunning world-class beaches. You have the Mokes out here in Lanikai off of Kailua Beach, one of the most famously photographed locations here on Oahu. This is at the Bluestone on the Lanikai side of this complex. And it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom. It's up against the ridge, so you have no rear neighbors. And you have 2 really large lanais. I have 2 slides for this. It is at 1.59 and there is everything that you need. So you've got a pool, a sauna, you have a hot tub, you have pickleball and tennis courts, multiple ones. You have miles of walking path and grounds between each one. And you can, I can't say this on the MLS, but you can walk down to Lanikai Beach from this location as well. It's right across the street from the golf course as well too. And also world-class elementary school, charter school. So very prime location and good price for being in Lanikai.
That is about as prime as it gets. Gated community. That is about as prime as it gets. I don't know if you folks, if you can see what Ashley mentioned too as the Mokes. That's in the upper right-hand corner here. You see 2 little dots on your screen. Those are 2 little islands. Those are the famously, like you said, Ashley, one of the most often photographed places, picturesque, amazing place, and a beach that's absolutely impossible to reach now by normal everyday people. Because
that's actually an important detail because you cannot park just in Lanikai wherever you want anymore and go down to this beach.
Are over.
So having a location where you're able to walk down to this is quite a luxury for sure.
Quite a luxury for sure.
And then if you go to the next set of photos, it's got these 2 really large lanais. You have water access on your lanai as well to rinse off your surfboards and such. And you got a big primary as well.
The old surfboard rinse shower. That's one of the best things I've ever put in my house was a shower on the outside. That was like the best. Come back from the beach and shower up and you're good. All right. Thanks, Ashley. That's a great one. All right. Dylan, is this you?
This is all right. It was on mute.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite spots on the island. It's got a special place in my heart because when I first started in real estate, I took on a bunch of listings down here in Middle Lee. It's an old fishing village down in South Kona. It's on kind of a flat area where there was a lava flow, so there's not a lot of vegetation, but there's tons of beautiful homes down there, and you can't really get property this close to the ocean anywhere for this type of price. And so this is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. There's a 3-1 upstairs and then a separate bedroom and bathroom downstairs, like studio area downstairs, and for $499. So and it's perched up on the hill. You can see the view. This is the view from the lanai. It's got a big lanai just overlooking the water. Absolutely beautiful. You can walk, or it's a very short drive down to the water. Most of the shoreline here is somewhat rocky, but it's got amazing fishing. Some of the best fishing in the state is outside of Middle and there's a boat ramp down there. So if you wanted a fishing lifestyle, it's one of the best places to access the water to fish, and just a killer spot. So stuff doesn't come up for sale super often down there that's like ready to go. This house is totally ready to go, move in ready, beautiful, and great value.
Nice, man.
It's a diamond and a deal. Diamond and a deal.
A diamond and a deal. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, you know, not too
Add
many.
another million, you can get that on Oahu.
That's right. Yeah, it's like 1/3 the cost what it costs in Oahu. So this is rural, though. Let me be clear. I mean, this is, if you want to get to Walmart, it's going to take you about 45 minutes to an hour. I mean, it's in rural South Kona, but that's sometimes what people want, right? Is if you don't want to be in the hustle and bustle and you want to be in nature, it's amazing.
There's of course, this is quite a famous place. It's the if I'm not mistaken, Dylan, it's the last fishing. Is it still active, or it was the last fishing village, at least on the Big Island, if not the entire state, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah.
There's a history behind this place. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's featured in an Israel Kamaka Viva Ole song. I forgot the song, but I love the song, and he talks about this fishing village, which is kind of cool. All right, cool. Thanks, Dylan. This is a great one for the right person. As Dylan said, for the right person, this is the right spot. All right, Ronnie, we gotta have you shake it up, man. You gotta bring up a different property, man. We're looking at this.
If you let go of the screen, I can bring up something here and just.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, what can you do? Try it. Give it a shot. See if you can do a screen share. I don't want to get into a technical more. Let's go. Let's see if I can do it this way. Okay, there we go.
Oh, look at that. All right.
There you go.
I'm sitting here thinking, I love, I trust you handle this in your cohorts, but when you're looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2 separate places, you could rent one, live in the other, you got to call Dylan. Don't call Ashley and don't call me, because we don't have it for $499. This is a magnificent condo at the Regency at Poipu Kai, which is in Poipu. On Kauai, our visitor destination area, the most expensive, or I would say the units that generate the most income, because when I think of a transient vacation rental, you're buying both a home, a real estate asset, and a business. This is in Poipu, and Poipu Beach gets the highest rates. So at the Regency at Poipu Kai, this is listed at $1.195 million of 4 units for sale in the complex. This is the least expensive, and I'd like to think that it's the most valuable. So if you're looking for a profitable vacation rental in Poipu, there's your answer. You can call Kat, Agent Kat Kauai at gmail.com.
There you go. I fond memories of body surfing the beach over there at Poipu. That is a great spot. Thank you, Ronnie, for sharing that. All right, cool. All right, well, we're going to move on over here. Thanks everyone again for being a part of all this. We're going to move on to our closing motivational thoughts. And if you've got, let me see here. There we go. If you got some, we'd love to hear what your closing thoughts are, what motivates you. And let's kind of start with Ashley. Ashley, what's your quote and why is it meaningful to you?
I'm not wise. I just have a lot of experience making mistakes, like the ones we discussed earlier.
I love that. That's it, man.
A lot of experience.
We fumble.
You're so wise for your age. I'm like, no, I just mess up a lot.
That's the key, man. The key is to embrace the suck, because that's how you move ahead in life. That's a great one. Thank you, Ashley. That is beautiful. All right. Let's see who's next. Dylan, what's yours?
This is Heidi. I think I'm gonna be next. I just had to go with the election theme, right? I saw this online the other day, and I'm like, it's absolutely right. No president will make you rich. That is up to you. So everything, our destiny is within our control. Doesn't matter what happens, who gets elected, any of that stuff. So remember that. Don't blame your outcomes on somebody else.
Yeah, don't blame. Well, I mean, don't blame your outcomes on someone else. I think that's a beautiful one. That do not blame your outcomes on someone else. That's for darn sure. Ronnie, I know you don't have a slide, but you've always got words of wisdom, and they come straight from the heart. So what's yours today?
Well, because of the question that you asked, what do I wish I knew? I think of the thought, which I love, which is what we focus on expands. What you focus on expands. So if Hawaii is part of your future, I know Dylan has some good friends, Jill and Eric, and they had a vision of moving to the islands, and they wrote down a date and they wrote down a time, and lo and behold, it happened, exactly as they saw it. So if we can see it, we can bring it into reality. And if you want to come to this particular state in the nation, the 50th state, what you focus on expands.
That's an excellent one of the that is an excellent fundamental truth of the universe, is like what you focus on expands. What you think about, you get more of, whatever that is. What you focus on,
what you think about, you bring about.
There you go. Oh, excellent. Well said. Perfect. See, there you go. That ding, 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 ding. What you think about, you bring about. That's the one right there. If I had the chance, if I had the time to put it on the headline, I would. And in light of the election and all the political fun, man, it's been so much. The X app, formerly Twitter, that was my main form of entertainment. I never laughed so hard over the past few days. It was absolutely hilarious to follow what was going on. And so and of course, Proverbs magically comes into existence for me, which is beautiful. So this is 3,000 years ago, folks. 3,000 years ago. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. And that was the way that was like beautiful. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for bringing this into my existence. Thank you for bringing this about. Great wisdom. And don't forget about it. All right. Great show, everybody. Listen, thank you all for coming. We're going to see you in 2 weeks. You got the new time. Thank you all for being here. Let's say goodbye. Let's do a clockwise. Dylan, then Ashley, then Ronnie, say goodbye.
Have an awesome weekend, everybody.
Have a great long weekend, I think. Aloha.
If you're with us live, happy Aloha Friday.
Happy Aloha Friday and Veterans Day. It's Veterans Day, right, Dylan? If I'm not mistaken, it's Veterans Day.
Monday,
Dylan,
correct? Yeah.
Dylan, you of all people should be like, yeah, Veterans Day. So
I need to take the day off probably.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Dylan, thank you for your service, Dylan.
Thank you for your
thank
service.
You, Dylan.
My pleasure.
Thank you for your service. And Jim, thank you for being here. Aloha, everyone. See y'all next time. All right, guys. See y'all later. See you in 2 weeks. Aloha.
Aloha.